Well, I'm sitting out here on the lake. Let me see if I can show you the lake. So, guess I'm just gonna sit here and wait for midnight. Let me see if I can get this situated a little better. Let's see. It's not a very stable setup. I just got it propped up on. I got my leg crossed with a flashlight, my phone. I'm gonna take out one of my earbuds. I'll take them both out. Yeah. So, 2023, huh? I hope that your 2023 went better than mine did. There's nobody in the chat right now, so I'm just talking to the void, I guess. That's okay. It's been a rough year. Man, this lighting is terrible. Makes me look fat. I'm not as fat as I look in the lighting. I guess I'm just waiting for next year to come around and hopefully things will get better. Yeah, so this year, at the beginning of the year, I went to truck school to learn the ways of the truck. Wanted to be a truck driver, and that didn't work out for me, unfortunately. I blew my savings in truck school because I wasn't working. I have a bad habit of can't really do two things at the same time. Can't focus on two things. I have to, put all my effort into one thing. So I was not working because I was going to truck school. And then after truck school, it took a little while. Couldn't find anybody. Nobody was biting. I was told that there's opportunities out the wazoo. Turns out that's, depends a lot on circumstances. Pardon me. It's So yeah, depends a lot on circumstances if you want to be a truck driver. Um, Finally got a company that was willing to give me a shot. The only company. So I drove out about a third of the way across the country for this opportunity. I don't know, maybe only a quarter of the way. It was from the North Carolina Piedmont to northern Mississippi, and I was making decent money as a trainee, but I was just a trainee, you know. That was all supposed to be leading up to me being an actual full-time driver and making money by the mile rather than, you know, by the pay period. And then I got fired out of training because my trainer, didn't like training. Like I made a mistake, and it was a mistake that could have been corrected, but instead they just said, you know, get out of here. And they jerked me around a lot. I waited and waited and waited for a trainer, and then finally got a trainer, and that trainer was horrible, just just terrible. Basically like a grade school bully, you know. He wanted to be a trainer because it basically put him in charge of somebody else in his truck, and I couldn't put up with it anymore, so I told him, you know, give me a different trainer. And they sort of understood because apparently this guy, they'd had problems with him before. And I wrote up a whole report about everything that went down and how he was unsafe. Well, I don't think they read the report because he kept his job. Um, anyway, they finally got me with another trainer. And then that was when, you know, it seemed like it was going fine. And then within the last week of my training, he just decided that I made a mistake that he couldn't deal with. So that was that was about it. It was like, you know, I've done everything that I thought I could. Like, you know, it was like the last ditch effort. I've tried a few different things, tried to be successful. You know, tried to pick up and, you know, get at it from a rough start to my adulthood. And so this was like the last thing that I could think of. And then it just didn't go anywhere. So I didn't want to come back home. You know, didn't want to face that conversation with my family. So um, I went to see my fiance, who lives in the Great Lakes area near Michigan. Yeah, and I stayed there for about a week, and then she had a medical emergency, and then, you know, I had to stay a little bit longer because I wasn't going to leave her in the middle of a medical emergency. And really didn't want to leave. In fact, I had gotten to the point where I realized, you know, all I'm doing here is running away. You know, I eventually have to go back. I have to go back home. And Do what? I don't know. Do something. So, and then that night, after I decided, you know what, I'm leaving in the morning. Well, then that night was when she had that emergency. And so I stayed for a few more days until she got out the hospital. Then the day after that was when I had to leave. Didn't want to leave, but, you know, you can only escape responsibility for so long, and I had to be responsible and get back here and take care of my shit. Well, I came back, didn't really take care of my shit because I was still really depressed. I was at like rock bottom, so I was applying for jobs, but you know, I've been through the job hunt so many times, and then it's just bad news after bad news. And there was family drama, and there was I kind of felt like for a while there from September to really just a few weeks ago. So September, October, November, for almost 4 months, 3 or 4 months, I was just how would I describe it? It kind of felt like watching um, kind of felt like watching someone die. That sounds dramatic. That sounds melodramatic. I don't want to put it like that because I wasn't dying. I was just, you know, couldn't get motivated to get out of bed and do anything. Having the most miserable time, and it's really because, like I said, I had put all my eggs in one basket, and then the basket fell through. So I came back to nothing. I had nothing to come back to, and I decided, when I went out there, like, this has got to work out because I've got nothing to go back to. Well, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. And, growing up evangelical, you hear all this stuff about, oh, the Lord won't give you more than the, I'm bungling my scripture now. Well, it's not scripture, it's a distorted interpretation of a scripture. And they say, the Lord will not give you more than you can handle. And they also say stuff like, they quote Jeremiah 29:11, and they say, what is that one? That one says, for I know the plans I have for you, um, plans for good, basically plans for you to be prosperous, and not plans for you to prosper and not perish, I think is the wording that was used. I'm kind of paraphrasing there, but you hear all these things when you grow up evangelical, and then it turns out that sometimes you just fail. So what do you do when you fail? And there's John Kennedy. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Well, what if you just keep failing, you know? It's real easy to say, just get back at it, get back in the saddle, go out and just crush it, just own the day and all that. But, that I've heard that a lot from people who were raised upright, and unfortunately, I didn't have the worst, you know, I didn't have the worst when I was a kid. I don't want to, I don't want to exaggerate. I already probably sound kind of dramatic. Oh, sorry, my ankle is hurting. I need to adjust a little bit. There we go. That lighting looks a little bit better. Pardon me. Well, what was I saying, my childhood could have been worse, but I feel like some of the most important lessons for a child to learn just were not present in my upbringing. And one of those things being you get up and you do it just because. And I guess I owe that partly to a family history of mental health issues, with lack of motivation and, with depression and stuff like that. So I kind of saw examples, I guess, early on. I don't know. I don't want to sit here and psychoanalyze my whole past. I've already done that plenty of years ago. The bottom line is, what do you do when you fail? You try again, you fail, you try again, you fail, and you try again, and you fail. And I didn't have an answer to that. The answer was just go back to whatever, You might retreat to a point of familiarity and start seeking comfort. And unfortunately, being a man in America, I don't know if you can hear that. There's a sounds like a muscle car. I can see headlights across the lake. Not headlights, taillights. They're going backwards. What am I looking at? Is that a boat? There's not supposed to be any boats on this lake. It's county property. Huh. I don't know what I'm looking at over there. Well, anyway. What was I talking about? Yeah, my year sucked. That's all. I don't know. I've talked about that enough. Anyway, I'm finally starting a new job tomorrow. First of the year, back at dishwashing, and putting the whole truck driver thing on hold. I'll get back at it eventually, but for now, I just want to get back in the habit of working and doing something that I'm good at, because that's what I love, is doing something I'm good at. And when I was a dishwasher, I was great at it. I was one of the best. and I'm looking forward to getting back out there and being one of the best as a dishwasher. It's a great job. It's the right balance of a physical challenge and an efficiency thing. Like you get into this flow state, and it's just now that definitely sounds dramatic. Flow state. What do I mean? It's like a zen. I was talking to somebody earlier, and they said, yeah, dishwashers are the most they are the most zen people in the kitchen, because they're off in their own little corner and they do their thing, and they keep everything else going. Everything else sort of depends on the dish pit. Of course, it's not like everything else can go to shit and the dish pit is fine. But it is very underappreciated, and I am completely okay with that. If somebody says, what do you do? And I say I'm a dishwasher, and they're like, oh, that guy, he's just a dishwasher. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm good at it, and I like it. So, come over to my restaurant and see how clean the dishes are that you eat off of, and maybe you'll appreciate it. But anyway. So, I wanted to have my guitar here with me. I also wanted to go out. There's a little spot on this lake. There's a little bit of a sandbar that kind of juts out from the shore. And usually in the winter, you can go out and walk on it. And it's just rocks. But then in the summer, the waters rise, and it's a no-go. But we just got a ton of rain over the past few days, past week really. So the sandbar's underwater. So I had to settle for sitting next to the bank in the trees. Not that I'm complaining. I've done enough of that complaining on this stream so far. To be honest, I don't know what's going to happen in 2024. Everything could finally come together, or it could all go to shit. It's completely up in the air. It's like a coin toss at this point, or it could be more likely somewhere in between. But with the state of America, these days, 2024 is kind of looking like it's really shaping up to be a real shit show, which is unfortunate, because the country falling apart is the last thing I need. Last thing the country needs too, but me personally. Me personally, I would also suffer. Pardon me. Yeah, I heard something. I don't know. Probably just a squirrel. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about this. I got I got a Christmas gift from my aunt, and I haven't got a whole lot of gifts in my life that are super special to me, but at least not since I was a kid. She gave me this timepiece, and I don't think you can see it there. I don't think there's a way for me to show it to you. It would be kind of tricky. But it's got a cross at the 12. There, you can kind of see it there. There's a cross at the 12, and it came with this wrist wristband thing. Kind of matches, but then written across here on the faceplate. I don't know if you can see that there's a cross there too, but written across it is the Lord's Prayer, and it's kind of special because it's like I've got the Lord on both wrists, both hands. He's at my left and my right hand. And I have not been very committed to the Lord this year. Certainly not for the past few months. Because, after everything sort of went to shit in my life, it was kind of like, why bother? What am I even doing? Because I thought that, well, like I said, I grew up hearing all these things about how the Lord wants you to succeed. Well, everything goes according to plan. And a lot of people fail. And failure is just part of the plan. So, you know, nothing's guaranteed to me. I mean, I guess I always knew that to be true. Doesn't make it any less depressing and disheartening and discouraging. But, having these things, feeling the weight of them, with the cross on here and with the Lord's Prayer on here, it kind of feels like wearing gauntlets. Like I put on the gauntlets, I'm ready. And so I have a sword I decided to start carrying again. Open carrying a sword. It's kind of annoying because I would really like for people to just treat it like it's normal, even though it isn't. But it's like, you see somebody walking around with a gun. You see that all the time. Somebody's got a gun on their hip. I mean, it's just a sword. I don't get the big. Well, I do get the big deal about it. It's because swords are cool, and people don't really carry them anymore. So I'm not an idiot. I know why people get weird about it, but it's kind of annoying, especially with my aunt. I was carrying my sword, and I went to her house, and she was like, "Oh, cool." She reaches out for it. I'm like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" You don't just reach for somebody's weapon. Like that's you're asking for trouble there. And of course, I'm not gonna fight my aunt because she thinks you know sword is cool and she wants to uh, hold it. I mean, that's why I bought it in the first place, is because I think it's cool and I like it. But yeah, no, you don't just reach for somebody's weapon. And the other thing is, people kind of think of swords as toys almost. It's kind of weird. A sword is not a toy. It's at least if it's a good one, if it's a decent sword, one that you would actually carry. Um, it deserves some respect. You don't just go swinging it. You don't draw it indoors. You don't draw it and just do show and tell, you know, because it's not like a gun where you can clear the chamber, you can take out the mag, you can, do all the things and look at it and make sure that it's clear and safe, and then hand it off to somebody. Um, no, a sword's different because you can't just make it safe because it's a great big blade. You hit somebody with it, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna cut. You can accidentally cut your finger on it just by, not being careful enough. So now, of course, a sword is you can't make it safe in the same way that you can make a gun safe. But of course, a sword is not as dangerous as a gun when the gun is loaded, because you can shoot somebody from 100 yards with that thing. 100 yards. What am I saying? I mean, I guess if you're a great shot, you know what I'm saying. You can't hit somebody from 3 yards with a sword. Um, but yeah, I started carrying it again because if I'm gonna be ready, if I'm gonna wear the gauntlets, then um, and here's an interesting thing. Um, hang on real quick. I need to switch legs because my left leg is falling asleep. Oh, oh, jeez. What time is it? Almost 11. One more hour. Let's see, what's my phone on? 71%? Yeah, I'm gonna make it. Well, I don't know. I might not. I might wind up not streaming till midnight because I do have to be up in the morning. So I might go in. Might just go in. Not right now though. I gotta finish this off. So there hasn't been a single person in chat. I mean, I've got a pretty small channel and I don't have a regular upload schedule, so but still, I would think at least one person would have just randomly found it and showed up. Although to be fair, everybody's probably off doing their New Year's celebrations. New Year's is like when I was a kid, it was a party. We'd watch the ball drop on television, and the adults would have champagne, and us kids would all have like white grape juice or the little sparkling grape juice things. Um, and then I got a little bit older and started to feel like, it's just another day. But no, not really. Like, for the past several years, I've had a tradition of I'm always outdoors when the year changes. I'm not indoors. I like to be outdoors. So, whether I'm walking down the street or whether I'm out here sitting by the lake or doing whatever, even if I go to like a party, a New Year's party, I'll go outside for the 2 minutes, the minute before and the minute after. It is cold out here. Ah, crap. My setup's falling apart. There we go. So, 2024, huh? Oh, God. I don't know if I'm smelling a skunk or if I'm smelling sulfur from fireworks, but I think it's a skunk. It smells like a bad. There must be a lot of skunks in these woods here. Lately, I've been smelling skunks more and more. My whole room smelled like a skunk the other day. And I figured one of them must have farted outside the house. And it just got pulled in because the house is kind of drafty. I hear fireworks, but I don't see any. Yeah, it's past 11 now, And it is getting cold. It's getting straight up cold out here. Not even chilly, it's getting cold. It's probably only like 40 degrees to be fair, and I'm just not, you know. Let me see if I can check. 34 degrees. 34, 35, something like that. So yeah, I think that's cold. That's close enough to freezing to be cold. I think 40 is where it starts becoming acceptable to say it's cold out. 50 is like chilly. 60 is nice. Good thing I put on layers. There's a little plus button on my I don't know what that is. It's like these little buttons down here. I can put filters on this. Oh, that's weird. Well, it's getting a little cold. So I think I might break my tradition of being outdoors for midnight this year. I mean, I've spent 43 minutes already out here just streaming, sitting here by the lake. Just talking about how bad the year was and how, admittedly, things are starting to look better. So that's nice, It's not all bad. I'm getting sleepy. I am getting sleepy. I didn't get much sleep last night. I hear gooses. I don't see them. Yeah, I don't see. I don't see any gooses out there, but I can hear them. I can hear fireworks all over the city. Pardon me. Well, how long am I going to be out here? Let's see. I think I can give it another 15 minutes. Make it a nice round hour. Maybe if YouTube is around in 20 years, I'll have kids that can watch this. They can come back and see how I was doing on New Year's Eve 2023. My leg is not liking that position. So I dropped my phone there, trying to get my legs straightened out. Let's see. Ow. Ow. Alright, that lighting is good enough, I guess. Let me just show the lake instead. Oof. I said I was going to try to make it to an hour, but my toes are starting to hurt from the cold, so I might call it quits here soon. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne? Alright, yeah, I'm 45 minutes early to be singing that song, but I am going inside because it's cold. So, Happy New Year. Hope anybody who watches this, if anybody watches this, God bless you. And have a great year.